One of the main key principles of early childhood teaching and learning is making learning meaningful for children. This is true for any learner, not just children. And the goal or the path we take to make learning meaningful is finding out first of all what children know. Without knowing what they know, we cannot activate this prior knowledge of a concept or a skill. So, to figure out what a child knows and make their learning meaningful, a teacher needs to, number one, provide cues to make a connection. So, we have to give them little hints or reminders that connect to what they already know. We also need to ask them questions to make them think about the things that they already know. An example would be if they're learning, if you're reading a story about a farm, you want to ask them, have you ever been to a farm? What kind of animals live on the farm? What kind of sounds might you hear on the farm? What kind of jobs do you have on the farm? So you're asking them to dig deeper into that little brain of theirs and make some connections with what you're going to take and then grow the material from. So you'll be learning all about farms. You're going to take what they know and build on it. That ties right into the next strategy is building on this knowledge. And sometimes we do that with what we call a graphic organizer. There is an example of a KWL chart on page 291 of your textbook, and I'm sure many of you have used a KWL as a learner, where you're writing down what you think you know about a topic, what you want to learn, and then after the fact, what you did learn. Anything, though, that is graphic allows children that are visual learners to kind of map their ideas. So sometimes it might be a drawing, having them even draw. What do you know about a farm already? What do you want to learn about a farm? Having them draw it. Or maybe just brainstorming all the things and getting them down visually. But this is the way that we're tying in those connections for our visual learners. The last strategy to make learning meaningful is to do some sorting. And this gets our brain ready for the new information. I know many times within this own course, I have had you do sorts. And I've had you sort vocabulary words and definitions. I've had you sort into categories. I do that a lot with my students. And I do that before I teach you something new. Number one, it allows me to pre-assess you to see what you already know and what you need to learn. And that's important for me as the instructor. But even more than that, when you do a sorting activity before you learn something, it tunes you in to the information that's going to come. Basically, if I ask you to do something and you get it all wrong because you don't know anything about it, when you see that vocabulary or you see that information presented in the presentation, you're going to tune into it a little bit more and say, oh my goodness, I got that wrong. Now I know why. I would do it differently now. So it allows you to make connections to the new material even if you don't have a lot of background knowledge. So this is something we do often with children. Now with young children, our sorting activities will be less word-based and more picture-based. We'll keep it fun. A lot of my sorting activities for kiddos are on the smartboard, or they're actually manipulating words or pictures around the classroom with friends. So it's not just sitting and moving paper like you do. It's a very active, kinesthetic kind of activity. And these are some of the strategies we use to make connections and make learning meaningful for students.